We are live and yeah, it's been a it's been a long day. I wanted to go live today, but my audio might be breaking. Like the stream and subscribe to the channel. That's all I got to say. I have spent a bunch of time today fixing my channel because I went to get a clip the other day from the other day and found out that I'm tired. I found out that my audio was just completely cooked the whole stream. So that's super fun. Spent like 16 hours fixing it. So that's pretty much what I'm here for. I just need to basically run the stream for long enough that I test my computer out, make sure everything is not crashing, at least at the bare minimum. Because the clean stream filter for OBS, which is the software you use to stream from. The software to make it so that when I swear it just like doesn't go through was so difficult to figure out. It works great on a PC, but you really have to like tinker with it when you're on a Mac. Just like everything in streaming on a Mac, you pretty much just have to mess with it for a while. Hope it works. Ask ChatGPT. It's pretty much what my whole day was. I thought I had it working, and then I put my laptop in the fridge because it was like overheating. I took my dog for a walk. And when I came back, first thing that I noticed was my CPU was at like 60%. I'm like, well, that's not how it's supposed to go. So yeah, I spent like another 3 hours fixing it. Hopefully for the final time. Probably not. That's why I don't really like these gimmicky type things, is because you get it working and then it stops working. Hey, looks like my stream is working. Oh my god, you have no idea how much work that took. Oh my god. It was so bad. So brutal. I'd like, hey, what's up, sucker? I'm just sitting here ranting about my day to nobody. Well, I guess there's you now. I'm so tired. I just need to like put my computer through the stress test, because now, okay, so I have a word that isn't a bad word that I'm going to test it out right now. The word is it works. Okay, now I'm going to use it in a sentence. Okay, so I went to the store today and I picked up and I'm very happy. I figured it out. Holy, that was such a pain in the ass. No, it's not apples, but it does have apple in it. It's pine, like a pine tree, and then apple. Yeah. I'm so stoked right now. I can't believe it's working. I almost gave up. I almost gave up because it was just so hit or miss. Like it would work and then I'd walk away and then I'd come back and it would not work. Oh, was brutal. But I got her done. And on top of that, I also have it so that when other people, like when I'm playing a video, like say from like TikTok or something, that works also. Yeah, happy family day. Oh my god, I forgot it was family day. I slept like all weekend and then I was fucking tired. Tired of school. And then I woke up yesterday. Probably like 5 o'clock. And I just was like, I don't want to do anything. So then I did some homework. Got like half of a project done. So I just gotta pick away a little bit of homework each day and should be good to go when reading week is over. Wait, you guys give presents on Family Day? What? What? I fucking. All I did for Family Day was like yard work. Like, well, it's a perfect day to do yard work. I'm like, fuck. Um, oh yeah, I removed the words fuck and shit so that I can swear a little bit so it's not so like constantly just bleep bleep. I did one thing where I wanted to have it like have it do white noise. I got it working. It's too much work to get working where instead of it just going silent when it just like is like but it's too much work. I might go back to it again later cuz I did figure it out now. But like oh man. Giant pain in the butt. What was I miscellaneous? Okay, I'm going to enable the preview now. Look at that. We're only sitting at 30% CPU also, 50% tops. That's awesome. And if I don't say anything, it goes down to like 7. Okay, that's not the one I wanted. That's the one I wanted. That's not what I wanted to have on the screen, but it's okay. There we go. Now we got like a Inception. Okay. Um. Okay. Another thing that I fixed was there was like audio lag between like the videos that I was watching and my response. I fixed that. So now everything on my OBS is on a 5-second delay. So Moon Epstein still alive? Okay, and then it's oh, and I made a little video. Yeah. Got a little video now. It goes off every 5 minutes, so I don't have to remind myself to tell people to subscribe. So that's nice. Okay, now I'm going to try and get my chat open because, yeah. Another thing I probably should have done before I went live. Oh, no, I already did that. Okay. What else do we got here? Quit that. Quit that. Quit that. What else? Boom. We good to go. Yeah, I did it. Okay, now I want to I don't know what I want to do, but I want to do something in celebration. Because I got to test it out. Like, I did all this work. I got to test it out now. Like, it's honestly kind of weird. Like, I was just kind of like expecting nobody to like show up or anything, right? So I was just like, I'm just going to yap to myself. Oh, this is something I built today. This is nice. I'm going to probably make like an instruction video on how to do it so that if anybody else ever has to do what I had to do, they don't have to. So this. One second. The volume's turned down.
3, 2, 1. 3, 2.
Best shit ever. Best shit ever.
2, 1.
Oh my god. It took me like 30 minutes to make that today. Lifesaver the whole time. I'm telling you, it was just an absolute lifesaver. Every time I had to adjust the timing and shit, I just like pull that video out and I do something that would usually take an hour in like 5 minutes. I was like, oh my, I had to keep adjusting the timing and everything too, because it literally made this setup possible. If it wasn't for that video that I made, I would not have this setup. I would have just went crazy and probably given up. Like straight up. It was brutal. It was so I was like staring at the screen like this, like I'm like, Jesus, man, you got like a fucking death stare. It was so bad. I might even still have that death stare because I've just been staring at my screen, like doing like the most tedious task ever. That's why I'm like, I'm going to make a video on it because I'm sure there's probably somebody out there that would love to know how I did it. They just don't know it yet. And I got all the tips and tricks, so I don't know. I might make that video tomorrow. I'll just live stream it and show what I did. Cause yeah, probably not the most interesting content, but why is it not working? Okay, now it's working. Let's go. Okay, 1 second. Let me just kind of like get a couple of things together here because I had to like rebuild my setup. How to videos are YouTube to me, right? That's well, actually, like you get rewarded when you do how to videos. What's up, Laura? We finally made it so that I can say the word and not have to worry about getting in trouble for it. So it's pretty awesome. It took me 18 hours just straight. I'm so tired. But I had to go live. My bio says Fridays and Sundays or Monday, and I've stuck to it. So technically it's still Monday. So well, no, I can say bad words. I can say bad words and it censors them out. I just have as a code or I have the word pine tree mixed with apple as a code word so that I can test it out. And then if I want to like show off my new technology, I can say and I don't have to risk it failing and me saying like the worst word possible. I also got really sick of like having to come up with sentences to make of like bad words. I was like, I need a code word. So I came up. But yeah, it really, for some reason, it really doesn't like the word see you next Tuesday. So got to be careful with that word because if you say that word, there's like a 70% chance it's going to not get censored. So, but I don't know. I haven't tested it. I honestly haven't tested it since I fixed the software. But yeah, I am going to go to bed at some point soon. I'm going to have a good sleep and then, but yeah, no, I don't know where I want it. Right there. That's nice. Yes, bad words are getting bleeped out, except for fucking shit. I'm allowed to say fucking shit still. Every other bad word that I could think of is censored out, but it's just mostly just so that I don't get age restricted. I got age restricted for saying like I called somebody an appendage and I got age restricted for it. So I was like, I'm going to figure this out because that was not worth getting age restricted over. That's the nice thing about YouTube. You can like actually mess around with the software and actually like do something like this. Whereas if you were to do this on TikTok, it would just be a pain in the ass to even get working. First, I've tried. I've really tried. It does not work. It refused to work for me. The crazy people are going crazy on TikTok. Yeah, I've seen some of that. My favorite quote of the day was, "I know everything about everything," and then the other person's like, "You don't know shit about shit." I'm like, beautiful. It's such a good soundbite.
Subscribe.
Such a good soundbite. With the Canadian accents and everything, I'm just like, damn. Content. Julia's threatened me with her lawyer. Surprise, surprise. She does that to everybody. I wouldn't worry about it too much. Yeah, I really want to find that. It was so funny.
This. If I call somebody a name, no, Julie, it was me. Shut the fuck up for a second. I know everything. Fuck you all. You don't know fuck about shit. If I dish it, I don't get it.
I love that so much.
And think it's not going to fucking come back on you. Do you understand me, Joseph? You don't get to fuck with people's mental health. Julie, let me make one thing clear. I expect it back. If I call somebody a name or say something, Jenny, I will fucking leave. No, it was Julie, it was me. Shut the fuck up for a second. I know everything about everything. Fuck you all. I expect you don't know fuck about shit. If I dish it, I don't get.
I love that. I know everything about everything. You don't know fuck about shit. I thought they were buddies. They were buddies till today. I guess. I don't know. I really haven't paid much attention. But the little bit that I seen, that was today at some point. I don't really know much details about it, but I think that was this morning. You don't know how it turned into such a hot mess, honestly, because it's TikTok. Like, what? Oh man, watching that was like, I was like so nice not being on TikTok. I'm gonna add the word shit. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna add the word fuck also. We're just gonna censor the whole stream because I feel like I've been swearing too much today. They'll be buddies again. Probably. Most likely. What should we watch? There was a video that I wanted to cut and like have my response to it, but when I went to go look at the footage, it was just completely cooked because word I said was just cutting in and out. It was so annoying. That's why I spent so long doing my thing so that it's still kind of cutting in and out a little bit, hey? Maybe I just need to talk a little bit clearer. Another thing I could do too is I could like turn off all the other filters. Also turn off preview.
Don't forget to subscribe.
Does it sound better? I feel like the compression was like making it sound weird. It's cutting in and out still. See, this is why I'm here. Maybe if I just turn off noise gate too. Okay, I turned off noise gate. Hopefully. I don't know why it's cutting in and out like that. I don't think it's your internet. I think it's my software is just like I think I know what I should do. I should look at the logs. Because if I look at the logs, then I can at least diagnose it. Okay, I asked ChatGPT. ChatGPT probably has an answer. Oh, look at that. Okay, I think it's working now. I think I just need to like turn off my noise gate for a bit. Yeah. And it's censoring the words good too? Hell yeah, buddy. Okay. 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 Oh, say pineapple. It's not apple, it's pineapple. Yeah. It didn't censor it there. What the hell? I know it didn't do it. It's all good though. It doesn't need to work 100% of the time. You're still allowed to swear. It's just as long as it's not like every 2 seconds, then you're in the clear. I just like made a couple modifications and it should censor. Like if I were to say, I'm pretty sure it would censor it, but I don't know. See,
pretty sure
it's censored that time, so. All right, I'm gonna stop listening to my own stream now. Let me know, Sucka. Can you let me know if it starts crackling like that again? Because that's super annoying. I'll turn it off and back on again if it keeps doing that. Because that's pretty much what I did, and it worked, so. There was more than one Jeffrey Epstein? What? I'm curious.
Don't forget to subscribe.
Pictures indicating that there might have been more than... Oh, since we last...
Spoke.
Got a new ornament this week. North Korea may have just revealed their new dictator after Kimmy, spoiler, they're 13 years old. We've got the first pictures indicating that there might have been more than one Jeffrey Epstein. Donald Trump's past has got a whole lot more complicated, yet again. Hollywood might be officially cooked, yet again. And the UK hasn't seen the sun in 2026. I wish I could say yet again. That is a first. All that and so much more. Yes, we finally released the Canada video and you guys have been loving it. And Alex. So we'll be yapping more about that at the end of today's video. Let's stop the yapping and let's go.
I hate his intros so much.
Pretty good.
I genuinely cannot stand his intros. I leave a comment every time. Okay. I cannot stand the like YouTube like let's get into it. It's this is an old video.
Okay, we've got to kick today's video off with something that people have been speculating about for years. Kick today's video off.
That's not a good way to start off the video. I'm sorry, Dylan, but
It's something that people have been speculating
pulling an
about
Elon
for
Musk.
years. But today, we might finally have confirmation of who will be the next ruler of North Korea. And that changes a lot. So it turns out, according to South Korea's spy agency, Kim Jong-un has chosen his daughter, 13-year-old Kim Joo-ae, as his heir. Now, they believe this is the case because of a range of circumstances. Pick your range of circumstances
They went woke.
you'd like to choose from. Circumstance 1, if you decide to choose from it, will be increasing prominent public presence at official events. Circumstance 2 is voicing her opinion on certain state policies, which, for perspective, in North Korea, to have an opinion at that level means you gotta be someone. Otherwise, done. Those are the only two circumstances that I think would be pick your two. Now, obviously, Kim Joo-ae only becomes the leader of North Korea when Kim dies. I guess that's the only alternative. And he is only 42, and he's one of the youngest leaders in the world, actually. So, could be a while. But it also makes you think, if it's not a while, what happens? What is North Korea's future? Because, I mean, history is, littered with just a couple
Okay,
of
I wanted the Epstein
female
stuff.
dictators. So you question... Moving on. Okay, also we've got a whole lot of updates on the Epstein situation, starting with the first one, which I found the most interesting. Was there more than one Jeffrey Epstein? Like, one wasn't enough. Well, a U.S. member of Congress, Representative Anna Paulina Luna, she posted something pretty insane on X this week, which indicates Epstein had multiple identities. Now, we had heard mutterings
Oh,
of this
come
all the way
on.
back in 2019 when they raided his ship.
Island.
But this week, it looks like we have pictures for the first time. She wrote on X, Jeffrey Epstein was also Marius Robert Fort Eleni. This is an official passport with a different name that was released in the files, and yes, it is Epstein. Yep, that does look like him. And so I believe for the first time we actually have pictures of these. And this is an Austrian passport with Epstein's face in it with dark hair. So what more can I say? That looks like a fake passport. Or the real passport, and Jeffrey Epstein was his fake identity. Interestingly though, it shows that his residence is Saudi Arabia, and we'll talk more about the Middle East in a second. Luna also wrote a following up post saying before people try to say that this is fake, the FBI was extensively running this. And communications from FBI showed that he had traveled back and forth to France quite a number of times with this very passport. Now, as I mentioned, we do already partially know that Epstein actually didn't have just this one, but multiple fake passports that he used to
Don't
travel to
forget to
various
subscribe.
countries. This is just the first one that we've seen. But this also throws into doubt the FBI's narrative that Epstein did not run a trafficking ring to other people. Because I don't know, how many financiers
He's definitely
do you know
still alive.
that just casually have multiple fake passports and identities? Not many.
Okay, well, this is a lot lamer than I thought it was going to be, so. Lame. I don't think he's still alive. He has too much on people? Yeah, why would he still be alive? Nah, he's gone. He's gone. Hmm. What the That's not okay. That's not okay at all. That was sketch. Oh my god, I almost doxed myself, guys. Like full blown just doxed. And it was like not even my fault. I don't know why the hell that hotkey on Safari, but like the same hotkey that hides my Safari is the same hotkey that takes me to Amazon. Like what? Should have probably tested that before I. Like damn. That lucky the OBS one worked. Because otherwise my address would have just been like, boom, right there. Whew, that was a close call. That was a very close call. Ooh, ooh. Hmm.
If this committee and the American public truly want to hear the unfiltered truth about what happened, there is a straightforward path. Ms. Maxwell is prepared to speak fully and honestly if granted clemency by President Trump. Only she can provide a complete account, and some may not like what they hear, but the truth matters. For example, both President Trump and President Clinton are innocent of any wrongdoing. Ms. Maxwell alone can explain why, and the public is entitled to hear that explanation. Thank you, members of the committee, for having us today. Ms. Maxwell can now proceed to answer her questions with the Fifth Amendment. Thank you.
And the witness, please state her name and spell her last name for the record.
Ghislaine Noel Marion Maxwell, Maxwell.
Thank you. My name is Jack Emmer, and I am the Chief Counsel for Investigations for Chairman Comer. Under the Committee on Oversight and Government Reforms rules, you are allowed to have a counsel present to advise you during this deposition. You have a counsel representing you in a personal capacity present with you today.
Correct.
Will counsel please identify themselves for the record?
Go ahead, Leah. You can go first.
Leah Safian, LeahSaffian.
Thank you, Jack. This is David
Don't forget
Marcus
to
here,
subscribe.
and my colleague Melissa Madrigal is also present.
Thank you. For the record, starting with the majority staff, can the additional staff members please introduce themselves with their name, title, and affiliation? Starting with the majority, can members of Congress please identify themselves for the record?
James Comer, Chairman of the House Oversight Committee. Andy Biggs, Arizona.
Williams in the South House, 4th Congressional District.
Melanie Stanford, Congresswoman, New Mexico First Congressional District.
I Raja Krishnamurthy, Illinois District.
James Walkinshaw, Virginia's 11th District.
Suhas Silverline, Virginia's 10th District. Ro Khanna, California, 17th District.
Robert Garcia, Ranking Member, Oversight.
Thank you all. Ms. Maxwell, before we begin, I would like to go over the ground rules for this deposition. The questioning will proceed in rounds. The majority will ask questions for an hour, and then the minority will have an opportunity to ask questions for an hour if they choose. To the extent members have questions for the witness, they will be propounded during their side's respective rounds. The clock will stop if you need to confer with counsel. Your counsel is speaking, and when members or staff are speaking during the opposing side's rounds of questions. We will alternate back and forth until there are no more questions. Do you understand? Everything I say and everything you say to make a written record for the interview. For the record to be clear, please wait until the staffer questioning you finishes each question before you begin your answer, and the staffer will wait until you finish your response before proceeding to the next question. Further, to ensure the court reporter can properly record this deposition, please speak clearly, concisely, and slowly. Also, the court reporter not record nonverbal answers such as nodding or shaking your head. So it is important that you answer each question with an audible verbal answer. Do you understand?
I do.
We had a member just join. Can they identify themselves for the record? Thank you. Exhibits may be entered into the record. Majority exhibits will be identified numerically. Minority exhibits will be identified alphabetically. Do you understand?
I do.
We want you to answer our questions in the most complete and truthful manner possible, so we will take our time. If you have any questions or do not fully understand the question, please let us know. We will attempt to clarify, add context to, or rephrase our questions. If we ask about specific conversations or events in the past and you are unable to recall the exact words or details, you should testify to the substance of those conversations or events to the best of your recollection. If you recall only a part of a conversation or event, you should give us your best recollection of those events or parts of conversations that you do recall. You are required by law to answer questions from Congress truthfully. This also applies to questions posed by congressional staff in this deposition. Do you understand?
I do.
If at any time knowingly make false statements, you could be subject to criminal prosecution, including but not limited to perjury. Do you understand?
I do.
This includes both knowingly providing false testimony, but also stating that you do not recall or remember something when in fact you do. Do you understand?
I do.
Wouldn't be your first time getting perjury.
Information necessary to make statements accurate. You are required to provide all information that would make your response truthful. A deliberate failure to disclose information can constitute as a false statement. Do you understand?
I do.
Is there any reason you are unable to provide truthful testimony in today's interview?
Well, as you know, she's going to take the Fifth Amendment, so that's our caveat to that question.
Please note that if you wish to assert a privilege or any statement today, that assertion must comply with the rules of the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform. Pursuant to that committee rule 16C1 states, for the chair to consider assertions of privilege or testimony or statements, witnesses or entities must clearly state the specific privilege being asserted and the reason for the assertion on or before the scheduled date of testimony or appearance. For the purposes of the deposition, objections must be stated concisely and in a non-argumentative and non-suggestive manner. If the witness refuses to answer a question reserved a privilege, then he may seek a ruling from the chair. If the chair overrules any such objection, the witness shall be ordered to answer. If the witness continues to refuse to answer a question despite being ordered to do so, the witness may be subject to decision. Do you understand?
I do.
Ordinarily, we take a 5-minute break at the end of each hour of questioning, but if you need a longer break or a break before that, please let us know and we will be happy to accommodate. However, to the extent that there is a pending question, we would ask that you finish answering the question before we take the break.
Where's the whole thing?
Finally, I will note for everyone here today, the contents of what we discuss in the deposition today is confidential under the House deposition regulation. Under the rules, the chairman and ranking member, minority member shall consult before any release of testimony or transcripts, including portions thereof. This means it is a violation of House committee rules to disclose the contents of the deposition prior to its official release. For this reason, the marked exhibits that we will use today will remain with the court reporter so that they can go into the official transcript, and any copies of those exhibits will be kept at the table or returned to us when we wrap up. Can the reporter please swear in the witness?
Don't forget to subscribe.
Madam Court Reporter, we could not hear you well, and I'm sure Ms. Maxwell could not hear you. I don't know if there's a way to give the Court Reporter a mic, so that thank you very much.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly declare and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Ms. Maxwell, do you have any questions before we begin?
I do not.
The time reads 10:14, and the majority's time will begin now. Ms. Maxwell, were you a close friend and confidant of Jeffrey Epstein?
I would like to answer your question, but on the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer this question and any related questions. My habeas petition is pending in the Southern District of New York. I therefore invoke my right to silence under the Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution.
Let the record reflect that Ms. Maxwell invoked the Fifth Amendment against self-incrimination. Ms. Maxwell, please be very clear. Are you declining to answer the question put to you solely on the ground that you believe the answer will incriminate you?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Ms. Maxwell, did you at any time play any role in Jeffrey Epstein's activities involving the recruitment, grooming, or trafficking of young women or girls?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Let the record.
Jeez. Okay. Okay. So I assume this is just 10 hours of her just doing this? Damn. How is it even fucking... Okay, this seems like the full video.
You need a longer break or a break before that, please let us know and we will be happy to accommodate. Transcript and any copies of the...
One second.
Under the penalty of perjury that the testimony
In the Southern District of New York.
17
I
likes.
invoke
Damn.
my right to silence under the Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution.
Let the record reflect that Ms. Maxwell has invoked the Fifth Amendment against self-incrimination. Ms. Maxwell, please be very clear. Are you declining to answer the question put to you solely on the ground that you believe the answer will incriminate you?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Ms. Maxwell, did you at any time play any role in Jeffrey Epstein's activities
816 times!
or trafficking of young...
They said fifth. Oh my god. Evoke. How do you evoke my fifth? She said she wanted to invoke. Oh my god, I'm illiterate. She said she would like to invoke her Fifth Amendment right 450 times. Wow. So this is just all just her just saying, nope. Nope. Can you see that? No, you can't. Look at that. Invoke my 450 times. Literally, that's all she did this whole 10 hours was just invoke her Fifth Amendment. Which, I don't really know. I'm curious when you... That's crazy. When granted immunity that removes any risk of self-incrimination. That's the first time that... Okay. So if you're granted immunity, then you can't invoke your fifth. When the statute of limitations has expired.
Don't forget to subscribe.
When answering does not pose a risk of self-incrimination. When invoking it to protect others rather than oneself. In response to providing non-testimonial evidence such as fingerprints, DNA, or voice samples. When already convicted and no further criminal liability exists for the matter. When the court compels testimony after proper immunity has been granted. Okay, so she can't do it then. Because if she's... I don't know. If she's seeking clemency, invoking the Fifth Amendment may complicate her request because clemency often requires demonstrating remorse and taking responsibility. While she can legally invoke the Fifth to avoid self-incrimination, doing so might be viewed negatively by decision makers considering clemency. Okay, so she can. Okay. You vote the Fifth to Congress if you have already Dun, 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 dun. Yes, you can invoke the Fifth Amendment before Congress even if you have previously spoken to an investigator about the issue. The Fifth Amendment protects individuals from self-incrimination, allowing them to refuse to answer that might implicate them in a crime. This right is available regardless of prior statements made to investigators. I'm learning new things. Ghislaine Maxwell evoked her Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination during closed-door virtual deposition with the House Oversight Committee on February 9th, 2026, refusing to answer questions about her involvement with Jeffrey Epstein and potential co-conspirators. Her attorney stated that she would testify fully if granted clemency by former President Donald Trump, offering to clear both Trump and former President Bill Clinton of any wrongdoing in connection with Epstein. This refusal to testify was part of her broader strategy to seek clemency in exchange for information about Epstein's activities and his associates. Maxwell's invocation of the Fifth Amendment in this context was a legal tactic to avoid self-incrimination while negotiating for a reduction in her sentence. Damn, okay. Well, that's boring. Boring. All right. So she just sits there and invokes the fifth 450 times. Okay. The word invoke is used 694 times. My fifth. 390 times for my fifth. So she invoked it 400 times. That is fucking crazy. I do not recall. The legend Jeff Sessions strategy. I do not recall. I do not recall.
Don't forget to subscribe.
Woke student punches ice. Oh my god. Oh boy. That was fucking boring. I don't want to watch that. That's super fucking boring. Ellen DeGeneres in the fucking Epstein files? Let's go. That's not surprising.
Today, I want to take you through some rare footage buried in the Epstein files and an absolutely insane conspiracy getting traction on the internet. Let's get right into it. Now, as you may be aware, we have been thoroughly combing through the recently released 3 million pages of the Epstein files so you don't have to. I want to show you some of the videos we have found that caught our attention, like this one of what appears to be an older man in a blue sweater and 3 other people, one of them redacted, watching presumably a woman dancing. Now, these 2 people have been redacted by the DOJ to protect their identity. We've replaced the music for copyright purposes, but other than that, this video...
Remember that one, like, the one, like, what was it, the Grammys with the pizza? One second. Before we get into that, we gotta dabble into the Grammys. What's going on here? Sorry, one sec.
I don't want it to, and so if I do, I don't want it to go to waste. Who will eat pizza if I, Jennifer, yes, Harrison, yes, Mark, all right. Too large? What do you think? I'm going to order some pizza. That's what I'll do. Please welcome our next presenter, tonight's big winner of our Scratcher Lotto card, Bradley Cooper.
Oh, this isn't the good one. She goes around like she's like getting money from like Harvey Weinstein and shit. Hey, look at that. We're recommended. Yeah, let's go. I'm gonna click on it just cause, you know, boost my own numbers. And also I want to check and see if my audio is working. Recommended. Yeah, let's go. I'm gonna click on it. My audio's not working again. Boost my own numbers. And also I want to check and see if my audio is working. Recommended. My audio is breaking again.
It's unchanged. Take a look. Now, we've played a couple of clips in the past videos from an interview Steve Bannon did with Jeffrey Epstein sometime in 2019, but we took the time to go through the nearly 2-hour interview and pull the footage that you may have never seen before. Remember, this is a video that was allegedly intended to help rehabilitate Jeffrey Epstein's image. In one question, Bannon asks Epstein about Wall Street. Roll the clip.
First got on the trading desk at Bear Stearns in the late 70s or mid 70s. Were you shocked by how little actual understanding of mathematics that the traders?
I know you can hear me, but it keeps breaking in and out.
The Texas Instrument calculator. Most stock
Oh, this was
brokers
such a boring
especially
interview.
Before 1975, if they were good stockbrokers, could add. That's about it.
Thank you, Thank you. All right, everyone. I guess that's it.
Stockbrokers simply meant there's a story. When I went to the first person, I had no money. And I said, how much money do you make a year? And he said, $400,000. I said, impossible. I'm making $10,000.
That's probably more your family had made in its entire existence.
Yes. And he makes it in a year. I said, what do you do? And he said, it's too complicated for you to understand. He had a brother-in-law, in fact, in this case, who ran the pension fund at General Motors. His brother-in-law would call him and say, buy 1,000 IBM. He'd hang up the phone, he'd write it out on a ticket and walk it to a window. That was his entire skill set. Hello, write what my brother-in-law says, walk it to a ticket window.
Now here is where he applies his thinking about Wall Street to world leaders.
You find most leaders financially illiterate, economically illiterate.
Most political leaders don't come out of a background of finance. Most political leaders come out of a background of being popular. So in some of the countries, in certain African countries, for example, they might have been a military person. They were a general. Or in our country, they would have been an actor. The knowledge of money they don't have expertise. They have no degrees in finance. They really, and this is one of the major problems. So many world leaders who don't really have a financial underpinning make fundamental errors when it comes to money on a country or institutional level. Many of them were just good at what they did in terms of politics. Remember, world leaders are politicians in general. They're not scientists, they're not intellectuals, they're not great thinkers, they're great politicians.
Now, for some context, Jeffrey Epstein was imprisoned in 2008 after pleading guilty to state charges of soliciting a minor for prostitution. Here is his account of what it was like.
Solitary confinement, September 14th. And again, some of the public stories about the wonderful time I had in jail and my work release, which didn't come till months after. I'd been there since June in an 8x10 cell with a bed in the back, a 6-foot bed in the back, a chrome sink with a toilet attached to it, and a little piece of metal sticking out that was supposed to act as a table. So in jail, I was in a place, it's called the Special Housing Unit, which is for the roughest, toughest, meanest people.
Pedophiles.
They put me there, they said, for my own protection.
I don't know if I can say that word.
So I was in an 8x10 cell with a little slit.
Maybe if I say it again. The pedophiles.
Where they would serve my food on a tray about 9 inches by 4 inches. And then as soon as I finished eating, they would take the tray and close it down. And one of the guards said, do you understand there's Wall Street's crashing? Sorry, Wall Street's crashing? What's happened? And he said, there's some crisis and some companies are going bankrupt. Yeah, it's all over the papers. We're all terrified we're going to lose our life savings because we have either a 401k or our pension funds. We don't know anything about money. Mr. Epstein, can you tell us, like, what's going on? Am I going to be able to afford my children's education? Am I going to be bankrupt like this company called Lehman Brothers? And there's another company in the front page today called Bear Stearns. Oh no, I said.
Now this next part, pertaining to what life was like in prison, is very interesting. Roll the clip.
At the beginning, what were the comments?
It serves you fucking rich guys right that you're here next to me.
There was nothing about your crimes.
No.
So all this rumor you hear all the time about people in prison that commit the type of crimes you commit, that's, you're saying in your personal thing is not true. It was all because you're rich.
Yes.
And it was all because they wanted to borrow money.
Or get advice. Yes.
What, they get advice to go long.
Yes,
Are you telling me
you're
telling me in solitary confinement they're interested in going long?
Yeah. They want to know
what does that say about human nature?
Well, I think the people
Don't forget to
one of the reasons they want to keep me in solitary confinement is they're afraid that everybody would want to know which stocks to buy.
I want to take a break from that right now to show you some more rapid-fire clips from the files, like this one, where Epstein is seen chasing around two girls in the kitchen. You may have seen it before, but take a look. Look. And this one of a redacted individual in what appears to be a bikini modeling. Now, earlier I mentioned some conspiracies, and I want to talk to you about what the internet has been cooking up, and this one is insane. I need to address something that's been blowing up online since these files started dropping, because every time these documents like this get released, the internet does what the internet does. So there's a claim circulating right now that the Epstein files reveal Ellen DeGeneres as, and I'm quoting this directly from posts, Hollywood's most prolific cannibal, that she consumed human flesh. People are sharing distorted images of her face, writing paragraphs about underground dystopias, calling her a vampire. Now, these are completely unfounded claims.
Did I just get
with no
clickbaited?
evidence to back them up. So let's take a look at what's actually in the files. Ellen DeGeneres is named in the Epstein documents, and that part is real. Her name appears in the broader index of over 300 high-profile individuals that show up across the investigative materials. You know, flight logs, communications, third-party interviews, peripheral records. But here's the thing that people either don't understand or choose to ignore. Being referenced in an investigative file is not the same as being accused of crime. There are plenty of names in the file that are just referenced by a third party. There is zero evidence in the Epstein files connecting Ellen DeGeneres to cannibalism or any other wrongdoing. That claim is completely fabricated. Community notes on the original X post flags it. The documents themselves contain nothing remotely close to it. Someone made it up, it sounded insane enough to go viral, and now millions of people have seen it presented as fact. And look, this is important to talk about because the potentially real stuff in these files is damning enough. There are genuine revelations in these documents about powerful people and what they did or didn't do. And when you flood spaces with potentially fake claims about cannibalism and vampires, you actually make it easier for people who have real things to hide. Because now, anyone who brings up the Epstein files may get lumped in with the conspiracy crowd. That's how disinformation works. It doesn't just misinform the people who believe it, it discredits the people trying to talk about what's actually true. But what do you guys think? We read every comment as always. We love hearing your suggestions on videos or topics we should cover next. As always, I'm Jackson Buhai, and I will see you in the next one.
Jeffrey, here's the final version as it appears. The Huffington Post today. Please let me know what you think. XOXO. Dasha Roman's Orchard filled tent. Will I Am and DJ Jusky spun pulsating music till dawn for the famous and more famous, dancing up a storm on the stage with Fergie were Dasha Demi Ashton some Demi Ashton. Isn't that guy in jail for similar crimes? Spinning on the floor. I can't pronounce these fucking names. So Ellen DeGeneres is right here. So they're talking about a party. Okay, this is a fucking nothing burger. At first glance, at least. Barry is performed live on Ellen DeGeneres. This just looks like all just like news articles. There's a lot of like weird news articles in the Epstein files. Like,
don't forget to subscribe.
13 things that defined the new American Center. This is boring. What the fuck is this? I don't know what it is. Thank you to all the followers. I appreciate how about a fortune cookie and joy. Today on my show, the only Her Majesty the Queen of England. Cheerio. This is just a bunch of Twitter posts. Yeah, there's really nothing. Okay. What else? I want to see how many times it says pizza. 819 times. 819 times. I think I looked into that last time, and there's like a pizza place they used to always go to in like the Bahamas or whatever. Meals 1,700, tips 1,700. Okay, this is boring. Boring. I just got clickbaited so hard. It's all good. So did you. We're all clickbaited now. They found proof Kurt Cobain didn't end his life. I don't even know who Kurt Cobain is. I heard something today about how there's like somebody that was like close to Epstein where they like found them in like a river or something. And the official narrative is that they themselves
Al Jazeera Podcasts.
Today, Jeffrey Epstein was trying to reshape the Middle East.
All the people that fell into his web, they were all essentially commodities to him, traded for the advantage of one single cause, which is Israel.
How a offender leveraged his money and contacts to advance Israel's agenda and his own. I'm Kevin Hurton, and this is The Take. Today's episode zooms in on an overlooked part of the Epstein files. We're looking at how he worked as a middleman, and sometimes almost like a diplomat, securing connections and businesses between powerful players. Different governments, different interests. But before we continue, tell us what angle of this monumental affair you think we should look at next. We're always looking for your input. If you enjoyed this perspective, don't forget to rate the show 5 stars. It helps tremendously.
Well, I'm Craig Mokhiber. I'm an international human rights lawyer and analyst, served for over 3 decades at the United Nations, and stepped down from my post at the UN headquarters in New York in October of 2023, and we are speaking from New York.
Okay, so Craig, thank you for coming on The Take, and it's really great to have you on the show today. But before we drill down on Epstein and Israel specifically, I did want to introduce you a bit to our audience. So can you just tell me a little bit about the work that you did for the UN?
Sure. Well, I spent more than 3 decades at the United Nations with postings and missions in countries around the globe, including, by the way, in Palestine, where I undertook several human rights missions. But my final post before stepping down in October of 2023 was as director of the Human Rights Office at United Nations headquarters in New York.
And you made headlines on October 28th, 2023, and that was just 3 weeks in Israel's genocide on Gaza, when you wrote a resignation letter to the UN High Commission for Human Rights. In it, you said the United Nations was failing in its duty to prevent the genocide. I would say that 3 years later, that counts as prescient. So when we look back, when future generations look back on all of the ways that the UN failed the Palestinians during this period, will it be because it was powerless to oppose Israel or simply chose not to?
Well, I think it's the latter. There are periods in the UN's history, particularly in the 1960s and 70s and into the 1980s, where the UN consisted critique of the Israeli regime, even during its worst periods of atrocity, and to simply defer to the peace process, defer to the Americans and the Israelis effectively. And that downward spiral continued, I think, to weaken the response of the United Nations to the situation in Palestine, leading, I think, ultimately to the genocide.
Yeah, okay. So here's where I want to introduce to this story the figure of Jeffrey Epstein, the now deceased financier and convicted sex offender. Now, he's been dead since 2019, but the Epstein story is very much alive, as you know. The Epstein files have been dominating the news cycle all over the world, especially in the wake of this latest drop of 3 million documents by the U.S. Department of Justice. And Craig, the extent of Jeffrey Epstein's reach into all corners of elite circles is just stunning. I mean, we're talking higher education, finance, royalty, international relations. So among the thousands of names mentioned in the files, there's 2 that had an outsized role, I would say, in shaping the past and the current contours of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. And we're talking about Mona Ewell and Terje Ruud Larsen. Tell us who they are and what the files reveal about their connection to Epstein.
Yeah. Well, I think what the files reveal is that Epstein clearly had his eye on the United Nations for quite some time. There's one exchange between Epstein and Steve Bannon where he's urging Steve Bannon to come to New York for the United Nations General Assembly. And he refers to the UN General Assembly as the Super Bowl, underscoring the importance of that annual UN gathering for his own networking goals as well. The documents also revealed, by the way, that Epstein had somehow obtained confidential internal documents from the UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon in his communications. We know that one president of the UN General Assembly, Miroslav Lajčák, who's the former president of the GA, but also former Slovak foreign minister. He was in regular correspondence with Jeffrey Epstein, including while he was serving at the UN those years. He ultimately was compelled to resign out of a scandal around the Epstein releases.
Yeah.
But as you say, the most important UN revelation so far in the Epstein files relates to Mona Yule and Terje Rold Larsen.
I talked to both Israeli negotiators and Palestinian negotiators, and eventually I came to the understanding that the way it was organized in Washington couldn't possibly succeed.
This is a Norwegian husband and wife team who were the architects of the, I think I can say it, disastrous Oslo process. And it's important because their close relations to Epstein and his role as kind of an Israeli asset is important because history shows that Oslo was effectively a diplomatic smokescreen.
The Oslo Accords were a series of agreements signed between 1993 and 1999 with a goal that aimed to see Israel withdraw from the territories it occupied. And so most Palestinians believe that the Accords would create an independent Palestinian state in the occupied territories alongside Israel. But that never happened.
It sidestepped international law. It devastated Palestinian rights for 3 decades. It consolidated Israel's unlawful position in Palestine. And these main architects of Oslo, Larsen and Yule, they're revealed in the files as having very close personal long-term relations with Epstein. They're revealed in the files as having very close personal long-term relations with Epstein. Larsen took substantial personal loans from Epstein, and the children of Larsen and Yule were reportedly left $10 million in Epstein's will.
That's unbelievable.
Then you have...
And Larsen, just to interrupt, Larsen was briefly your boss at one point at the UN.
He was during my posting for 2 years in the 1990s in Gaza. He was the UN Special Coordinator, the senior envoy for Israel and Palestine. I worked briefly under his supervision there. And then he later left and headed the International Peace Institute, which is a think tank across the street from the UN and very much affiliated with the UN, where these files also suggest that he was facilitating internships for allegedly unqualified young women from Eastern Europe, and at least some of the cases sharing their photos with Epstein in personal communications. So remember, Larsen was the UN's chief envoy for the Middle East, what was called UNSCO in those days. And he was later forced to step down from the Peace Institute because of his dealings with Epstein. But even after Oslo, he was also implicated in efforts to try to advance Trump's so-called Abraham Accords ruse, which I think viewers will know is basically a U.S.-Israel scheme to erase the Palestinian issue from regional and global politics and consolidate the normalization of Israel's. And all of this raises a lot of eyebrows at the UN, because there's this sense that Larsen, and in fact, all of his successors as UN envoys at UNSCO, they were perceived as being too close to the Israeli regime to the detriment of the Palestinians. And all of them, from Larsen on, consistently prioritized Israel regime sensibilities over international law and the human rights of the Palestinians. And that was very frustrating to UN human rights officials, for example, with whom UNSCO has often been in conflict. And then just, on this point, equally shockingly, Larsen's most recent successor at UNSCO, Nikolai Mladenov, has even agreed to serve on Trump's lawless colonial so-called Board of Peace, which itself, I think, is a direct affront to the Palestinian people.
I saw that, yeah. Norway did suspend Mona Yule as Norway's ambassador to Jordan and Iraq over Ambassador Mona Yule's contacts with Jeffrey Epstein, so there was some accountability there.
They did.
So let's examine Epstein's own connections with the Israelis. There have been, theories swirling around for years that he was an intelligence asset, possibly working for the Russians or Mossad. You don't go that far, but you do describe him as a Mossad-adjacent Israeli regime operative. What do you mean by that?
Well, we know he was at least an asset of the Mossad. It seems to me the evidence that's been laid out now is beyond question. Whether or not he was on the employee rolls of Mossad, if any such thing exists, that's a question we don't have an answer to. But the documents, releases, and investigations, they revealed that he operated principally as an intermediary for Israeli interests. and that he had very privileged and very intimate connections to Israeli politicians, especially Ehud Barak, the former prime minister, but also Israeli spies like Yoni Koren, who frequently stayed for weeks at a time in Epstein's New York apartment, as well as his close relationship and engagement with major collaborators in Israel's military and intelligence infrastructure, like Palantir, for example.
He explained what Palantir was to Ehud Barak. We'll get to him in a second, but you know.
Yes, he did. And neither one of them seemed to be able to spell any of the names involved, including Palantir.
Palantir?
Yes.
How you write Thiel? Thiel?
Thiel.
LLY.
No. Thiell.
Okay.
So he thought that Peter would put you on the board of Palantir. Peter Thiel is one of the best.
So that's interesting, but that became an absolutely key contact over time.
Yeah, absolutely. Ehud Barak. He was Israel's prime minister from 1999 to 2001. Then he was defense minister from 2007 to 2013. What have we learned about his relationship with Epstein?
Well, it was close, it was intimate, it was long-standing. Remember, Ehud Barak was not just the former prime minister, he was the former minister of defense, as you say, head of military intelligence, very closely connected with Israeli intelligence. And he was one of Epstein's closest associates. He met with Epstein dozens of times. Long after, by the way, Epstein's 2008 sex crimes conviction.
Holy fuck, my mic's
he was
been
often
turned
on his
off.
private jet, on his island, and his various properties. They were actually partners in security tech startups. Epstein helped Barak with a range of business ventures ranging from oil deals to an Israeli drone company. He was even involved, by the way, in Barak's political comeback against Netanyahu in 2019. And with Barak, he helped Israel facilitate agreements with other countries trying to build Israel's profile. So an agreement with Cote d'Ivoire for Israeli surveillance and tech, an agreement with the Mongolian government to promote Israeli military equipment and surveillance tech, even to facilitating communications between Barak and Putin to advance Israel's goals in the Syrian war.
That's incredible. Just pause there. Yeah. Epstein is facilitating a meeting between a former Israeli prime minister and the president of Russia. Like, he has that power.
He has that power, and he had that role very clearly. He was sort of an unofficial ambassador who could use this network that they had created together to be kind of a front man, an advance man for the Israeli regime, and that extended, virtually everywhere in the global South, all across Western Asia, Arab governments in Europe, all across Western Europe and Eastern Europe, and including apparently in Russia. We don't know what came of it ultimately, but those contacts were clearly revealed.
We'll have more with Craig after a break. So, Craig, let's talk about Jeffrey Epstein and the Abraham Accords, because Epstein died in his jail cell in 2019, which is before the UAE, Morocco, and Bahrain officially normalized ties with Israel. But new documents reveal that there was a lot of work going on behind the scenes early on, especially through his contact with an Emirati port magnate that's Sultan bin Sulayem. Now, we talked about Epstein as this connector. Can we say now that
thank you for tapping the like button
helped pave the way for Israel and UAE normalizing relation?
I think it's unquestionable. Epstein was a key actor in creating the template for the so-called Abraham Accords, and the laboratory was the UAE. These Abraham Accords, for viewers who don't know, these are effectively a U.S.-Israeli scheme to basically erase Palestinian rights from the Middle East equation and to normalize the Israeli regime through business and other kind of connections. Even as the Israeli regime is perpetrating illegal occupation, apartheid, and genocide with impunity. And based on these newly leaked documents, we know that Epstein spent years acting as an intermediary, cultivating business and security ties between Israel and the UAE. That was the blueprint years before the Abraham Accords were officially signed. He brokered high-level meetings between Israeli officials and Emirati business leaders, facilitating technology deals, leveraging his network to advance Israeli interest across the Middle East. But most important, as you mentioned, he brokered meetings between Ehud Barak and Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayem, who was the CEO of this Dubai-based DP World, a global logistics and ports management company.
It's a huge company.
And the emails show a very close personal relationship between Epstein and bin Sulayem. I mean, the two were sharing dirty jokes and porn images and personal information about themselves. And Epstein worked to facilitate investments by Suleim in Israeli logistics infrastructure. He promoted Israeli cyber weapons and surveillance tech for use in Emirati-controlled, infrastructure and port security. And we know that bin Suleim visited Epstein's private island, and then a neighboring island was actually purchased under his name. So in this way, Epstein helped to build the covert foundations for commercial and intelligence cooperation that later became the Abraham Accords. And all of that for the purpose of strengthening Israel's position and weakening the Palestinian cause.
Yeah, it's just worth reminding people, all of this was happening after 2008, after he became a registered sex offender. Have you seen this photograph that's emerged of Suleim and Epstein inspecting a piece of the kiswa? That's the black silk cloth that covers the Kaaba in Mecca. I mean, this is a sacred artifact sent to the United States. In this part of the world, it's certainly sparking outrage.
As it should.
Yeah. So there's been a very productive relationship. In December 2025, the UAE signed a $2.3 billion defense deal with Elbit Systems, which is one of the largest arms sales in Israeli history. So, this is the fruit of all of that effort. Craig, this Epstein story is clearly not going away, despite the very concerted efforts of the Trump administration and its allies. The outrage is real and it's sustained, which is rare these days. One reason, I think, is because these files show that the rules don't apply to everyone. And that's the feeling that's been building in political movements on both the left and the right, especially in the wake of Israel's war on Gaza. Do you see the connection there? Does Israel's genocidal assault on the Palestinians make more sense now that we've peeled back the curtain with some of these Epstein files?
Absolutely. We're living in a period where we're seeing serial aggression, which is supposed to be the crime of crimes by both the U.S. and the Israeli regime, the imposition of unlawful sanctions on countries and individuals, the murder and destruction of boats in the Caribbean, the invasion of Venezuela, the abduction of its leader, an ongoing live stream genocide in Palestine for more than 2 years, the open complicity of other states across Europe and Western Asia. And ultimately this unlawful Security Council Resolution 2803, setting up, Trump's Board of Peace, that I have said represents the final surrender of the international system to the abusive power of the U.S.-Israel axis. And I think unless there is a dramatic turnaround, and soon, this will be the beginning of the end for things like the UN and international law, which, by the way, is a goal that has long been sought by the Israeli regime. And now in a world defined by brute force, impunity, cowardice, complicity, it appears it's getting its wish. And you talk about the outrage, Kevin, that people are feeling. One of the things that we're seeing in the West is that Western media corporations are now trying to manage this, right? They have a history of running cover for Israel. They're now doing kind of damage control around Epstein. They're scrambling to manage what is the public understanding of the Epstein files.
Can you say more about that? I mean, the system revealed by the Epstein files is going to fight to preserve itself. How do you see that playing out?
I mean, it's quite visible and I think quite outrageous if you watch some Western media these days. What we know from the evidence, what the facts present, is the systematic corruption of U.S., U.K., and other governments.
I'm so fucking tired right now.
And businesses by proxies
I'm like
of
falling
this
asleep,
regime,
but I'm looking into
Israel.
it.
But what the Western media has been doing is they've been framing the story. First, they tried to frame it as a scandalous tale of a wealthy sexual pervert, financier and pedophile, and some of his rich and powerful friends. But then as more political details started to emerge about the role that he was playing, they tried to shift, and this now familiar narrative, blame the Russians. Even though there is nothing to suggest in the Epstein files that he was principally concerned with Russian interests. Rather, what we know for certain was that Jeffrey Epstein was a very committed Zionist. By the way, these things even reveal that he was a Jewish supremacist, as made clear by a number of racist exchanges in the emails, but that his principal cause was that of the Israeli regime. And in fact, beyond his own, undeniable arrogance and bigotry and ego and hedonism, right? What all the documents reveal is that the money, the weapons, the security tech, the spying, the sex, the pedophilia, Epstein's extensive network, his horrific abuse of women and girls, and all the people that fell into his web, they were all essentially commodities to him, traded for the advantage of one single cause, which is Israel. That was the motive. And we know he had, extensive high-level connections to the Israeli regime, to its government, to security, intelligence, its financing circles, its business community. That was the means that went with the motive. So this is not some story of a lone sex offender or a new Russiagate, as Western media corporations are trying to convince us. It's a story about Israeli influence in the highest corridors of power and wealth.
Yeah, no, that's why this latest drop it feels different, because there are really two stories happening simultaneously. There's obviously the depraved trafficking of underage girls, which, but what this latest drop shows is the absolute rot at the heart of elite institutions. You've watched it up close. You've seen the decay. You were talking earlier that in the 1980s, the UN would stand up for things, and then it just stopped after Oslo. Does it feel like the international order has been destroyed, or did it commit suicide?
Well, I think there was plenty of internal complicity in its own destruction. But there have been powerful forces operating for many years. And interestingly, where we saw those most visibly was in successive U.S. governments that were always trying to weaken, contain, obstruct the United Nations in its activities around peace and security. We see it with the U.S. veto repeatedly, right? But also around human rights, about global development, and so on. The U.S. always used the United Nations as a tool when it was useful to it, but obstructed it when it didn't like any of its purposes. It was never committed to a kind of universal normative mission of the UN. And has always been committed to might makes right. What we see with the Trump administration is they sort of stripped away all of the smoke and mirrors and are just openly imperial, colonial as well. Israel is the other force that has for years tried to weaken the United Nations, tried to carve out exceptions to international law. And, there was a period of time when other member states of the UN stood up to try to make sure that erosion didn't continue so openly. We are now in a period of unparalleled complicity, where we see country after country, region after region, effectively bowing down to the empire. And as I said, the pinnacle of that was the adoption of Security Council 2803, which erased 80 years of international law, of international resolutions, of the rights of the Palestinian people, and as if we are operating in colonial times, handed the survivors of a genocide in Gaza over to one of the perpetrators with the intimate involvement of the other perpetrator, which is to say that the survivors of Gaza, their future, their human rights are now in the hands of the US and Israel, which have dedicated themselves to the destruction of the Palestinian people. And the world, including the Security Council, including Europe, including countries of Western Asia, have gone along with this. First, in complicit silence, and now with an affirmative act in the Security Council of mandating 19th century colonialism in the 21st century.
All right. I think we could leave it there. Craig, thank you for coming on The Take today.
Kevin, thank you for having me.
Police have identified the shooter as Robert Dorgan, who also went by the name Roberto Esposito. Pawtucket Police Chief Tina Goncalves said at 9:30 press conference. She also said that the Good Samaritan stepped up tonight, city's morning. Yeah, I don't really see much information on the guy. I'm gonna look him up though. I just found the name. I'm fucking tired. Oh my god. What is that now? Identified the suspect as 56-year-old transgender Robert Dorgan. I don't know if that's true. That's Instagram. And it's from a turf channel. He had a Nazi tattoo. Interesting. I'm curious what this is. Jesus. Well, that's not good. He had a Yahtzee tattoo, but he was in a dress. Seems like a psyop. Was he in a dress? This is what I was doing during the freaking Canadian event. I was like, when I first found out, when it happened in Canada, I made a comment to one of my friends. I'm like, oh yeah, they're probably sitting there talking about how the shooter was probably trans or something, and then they turned out to actually be, and I'm like, oh. Lisa Bella's commentary is just, it's a lot. Listen to the TERFs just lose their mind. I'm like, oh my God, why? Well, now she has something else to yell about tomorrow. I mean, in this day and age, you know, the Nazis be on that TRT. Did not need to see that. New York Post. Police identified the gunman who killed 2 people and critically injured 3 others at a high school hockey game in Rhode Island on Monday afternoon as Robert Dorgan, a transgender dad who railed against anti-trans hate in family legal disputes and deranged social media rants. The 56-year-old father who shot 4 family members and a family friend before he turned on himself following the deadly rampage at the Pawtucket ice rink used the female alias Roberto. One second. I'm going to just do something here. The 56-year-old father who shot 4 family members and a family friend before he turned the gun on himself following the deadly rampage at Pawtucket ice rink used female alias Roberto Espiado. Pawtucket Police Chief Tina Goncalves said during the press conference Monday night, "We have identified the person, the suspect, by a birth name. The birth name was Robert Dorgan. He was also learned that holy fuck, I'm tired, dude. Give me a second here. I need to make the words bigger. We've also learned that the person does go by the name Roberta. Also use last name Espiada. The night before the suspect stormed the hockey tournament with a gun, he ominously replied, 'Keep bashing us, but do not wonder why we go berserk,' in response to an anti-trans ex-post. Dorgan, the father of North Providence High School senior who's competing in the hockey tournament, reportedly underwent gender reassignment surgery in 2020, according to the court filings obtained by local station. His transgender identity appeared to be a source of multiple family court battles years before Monday targeted shooting that cops said was the result of a domestic dispute. His ex-wife filed for divorce in 2020 on grounds of gender reassignment surgery, narcissistic plus personality disorder traits, according to the court filings obtained by... According to the court filings obtained by a local outlet, the reasoning was later replaced by irreconcilable differences, which have caused the immediate breakdown of the marriage, the outlet reported. There's like a photo on here that I probably don't want to show. Because it kind of scarred me a little bit. I'm not going to lie. Their split was finalized in 2021. The fatal victim of Monday's shooting include the mothers of Dorgan's hockey player son and the student athlete siblings, multiple sources told WPRI. It's unclear if his ex is the same woman he gunned down. Also in 2020, Dorgan showed up at the North Providence Police Department and reported that his father-in-law wanted him out their North Providence home because of his gender reassignment surgery, the publication reported. He said his father-in-law used a slur for transgender people to say no such individual was going to stay in my house, the gunman told cops. He also... One second, let me just see where this photo is. Okay. I got a little bit of time. He also bizarrely claimed that his in-law had threatened to have him murdered by an Asian street gang if he did not move out of his residence where he had lived for 7 years, according to the court docs. An X account appearing to belong to the crazed trans shooter is full of thousands of unhinged posts, including one railing against anti-trans hate, as well as several anti-Semitic, pro-Nazi, and racist rants. Jesus. That's quite the combination. In a February 15th response to a post calling openly trans U.S. Representative Sarah McBride a man, Dorgan chillingly wrote, "Keep bashing us, but do not wonder why we go berserk." In other ex-posts, he offered his support for Second Amendment and ICE and his disdain for abortion. Dorgan was reportedly armed with multiple guns during the ice rink shooting. Goncalves praised a good Samaritan who said he stepped in and attempted to subdue Dorgan. Witnesses said the man, the father of another hockey player, disarmed Dorgan, but he had a backup firearm, both of which police retrieved at the scene. Dorgan took his own life at the scene of the shooting Monday, police said. I think this is... Okay, this is where it's getting... 3 victims are in critical condition as of Monday night. A woman who was seen leaving Pawtucket police station earlier in the day said the gunman was her father, who has mental health issues and was very sick. He shot my family and he's dead now, she said. Herring live stream footage that captured the unfolding chaos showed clumps of spectators scrambling to exit while others rushed to aid the victims. One witness told CBS News that she saw someone attempting CPR on... This is the part where it gets a little saucy. Police responded to the scene around 2:30, just 2 minutes after receiving first call, according to the police chief. Pawtucket Mayor Donald Greben said law enforcement is working in tandem with the Rhode Island Attorney General's office to ensure that the facts are fully established before making any other announcements. Pawtucket is a strong and resilient community, but tonight we are a city of mourning. We will stand together and support all those affected in the difficult days ahead, and we will keep the public updated as facts become available. Damn. This is one of the things with like the Canadian one that I was kind of worried about was like copycats. Like prior to the one in Canada, there had only been like 1 or 2 like mainstream trans shooters that actually like hit the mainstream, and that's like 2 in a week. Oh man, that's shitty. That's super shitty. It's really weird how he's like a Nazi, but he's also... I don't understand America, man. I don't understand America. Like, gonna be like freaking trans Nazi, like... Oh boy. I gotta go to bed. I'm fucking tired. I'm so fucking tired right now. It's not even funny. Been up for like 2 days, so this was supposed to be a short stream, but went a little bit longer than I expected. Oh well. Probably be live again tomorrow. Yeah, probably be live again tomorrow. My fucking chest hurts. Anyways. Got 7 more minutes till it hits the 2-hour mark. I'm too tired. Otherwise, I'd probably go all night. Anyways, peace out. Thank you for joining. Subscribe. I'll be back. I'm very tired tonight, so this was just basically meant to be a live stream to iron out my technical difficulties, because I got a lot of them with everything that I got going on behind the scenes. It's a lot of work. It's very frustrating. It's very frustrating. Drives me fucking crazy. But yeah, peace out. Hope you guys have a good night.